Hi, welcome to Chard Review. After embarking on a cross-country journey, Lightning McQueen faces various challenges such as a haunted hotel and even a Bigfoot hunt. Today we'll recap the story of Cars on the Road from 2022. In the outlying part of Radiator Springs, Lightning McQueen is training some maneuvers when Mater shows up to say goodbye because he will have to leave town to go to his older sister's wedding. Surprised that Mater has been hiding his relatives all this time. The other vehicles gather at the gas station and start talking about how good it is to have a family until the tow truck interrupts them by saying that he has a bad relationship with his sister and is therefore not very excited about the trip. To comfort his friend, McQueen offers to accompany him on the journey, making him very excited. But when Lightning suggests they travel in Mac, the meter says he wants to take the road on his own wheels, experiencing the adventures along the way. After they spend all morning driving, Mater says that a storm is approaching and advises McQueen to stop at the next hotel they find. But since the sky is clear, the race car decides to keep driving until they find a next stop. As night falls, the storm finally arrives and they have not yet come to a stop. After a few miles, they finally reach the entrance to a hotel and decide to stop for shelter. But unlike the others, this one is absurdly creepy, causing Mater to fill myself with fear. On the other hand, McQueen seems to see no problem with the bizarre appearance and decides to go ahead, meeting the receptionist who begins a tour of the room, which is incredibly creepy. Terrified, Mater says he will stay awake during the night while Lightning seems calm, but when dawn comes, the roles are reversed and it is McQueen who is awake, afraid even of his own shadow. After hearing someone calling in the hallway, the race car has the bright idea to leave the room to see who it is. However, the only thing he can find are some gruesome Victorian-era paintings. Unaware that the ghosts are right behind him, Lightning keeps following the voices until he finds a pair of twins at the end of the hallway, just as terrifying as those into The Shining. As soon as McQueen reaches them, the sisters reveal their ghostly form and the race car begins a desperate dash past the spirit limbo to the elevator. But when the doors open, tons of antifreeze gushes out, causing Lightning to run for his life. During the escape, McQueen hears party noises coming from one of the rooms and decides to stop and investigate, finding several souls at the place. Inside the room, the ghosts grab him by the wheels and start dancing with him, but McQueen manages to escape and return to the corridor where he is once again pursued by a spirit at top speed. After the desperate chase, Lightning manages to get back to his room and things calm down, allowing him to finally sleep. But just as the unlucky car closes its eyes, the alarm clock goes off and Mater wakes up saying that he slept very well and is now ready to move on. Afraid to tell about what happened and be seen as crazy, McQueen decides to let it go and leaves the place. Unaware that he has been haunted by the spirit of the former founder, with a few days left before the wedding, Lightning and Mater continue following the highway until they end up in the middle of a desert plain with no track or other cars around. McQueen challenges the tow truck to a race and they begin to race. But as they race, the pair of friends start to hear a strange humming noise until suddenly the car that was making the noise passes them at top speed. Following the path, the two arrive at the base of the record breakers, a group of cars that remove most of the parts so that they can reach the highest speed and break the world records while drive around the place. Mater sees a workshop tent and asks to be modified, and although they do not work with trailers, the team eventually accepts, saying that an opportunity has recently opened for new competitors. Seeing that the spot became available because one of the vehicles disassembled in an accident, McQueen tries to advise Mater to reject the spot, but the tow truck says that it always wanted to be fast and accepts the modifications, gaining thrusters and becoming the fastest tow truck in the world. Excited Mater goes to the track, starts the engine while Lightning chases him, asking him to slow down. But even though he passes 270 kilometers per hour, the tow truck is still not satisfied and continues to accelerate, passing 700 kilometers per hour and leaving his friend behind. Mater keeps accelerating until he breaks the sound barrier, but the speed is so absurd that the bolts start to come loose and the modifications plummet through the desert. Because of the impact, the tow truck ends up losing his life and his spirit meets the speed demon, a spirit responsible for taking souls to the other side. Afraid, Meter starts striding in the other direction, wanting to return to his body, but after discovering that this is not allowed, the tow truck decides to trick the spirit, causing the speed demon to close his eyes and give the gap for him to fly to his body and retake the wheel back on. The physical plane Mater makes a knots, a smooth landing and shoves his hook into the sand, breaking within a few feet and coming out completely unscathed. Mater returns to the tents where he is acclaimed for having broken all the speed records, receiving several offers from the teams, but the tow truck refuses the contracts and runs away together with his friend following the highway towards the mountains. In the new biome, Lightning builds a fire and calls Mater to come closer to the fire, but since he is making friends with some other cars, Mater decides to invite the strangers to join them at the campfire. The vehicles begin to ask what they are doing there and reveal that this is a Bigfoot hunting area, demanding that they swear allegiance to the cause and help them capture the creature. Showing a very high-quality photo to prove the existence of the monster, realizing that they are crazy. Lightning tries to throw them off and says that he will sleep while the group starts the hunt, but Mater is quicker and says that he has already promised that they will help them. At one point he falls behind and begins to hear the sound of branches breaking in the middle of the trees. Afraid, Lightning starts to speed up while the Bigfoot chases him through the forest, forcing the race car to drive at top speed until it ends up crashing into a tree. When he wakes up, Mcqueen realizes that he is hanging from a rope and begins to try to get free, but all the movement ends up breaking one side of the rope, alerting the creature that captured him as soon as it realizes that he has woken up. The monster truck introduces itself as Ivy, a monster truck that has retired from performing and now wants to live in peace in the mountains. More reassured, Mcqueen asks the monster truck to let him go and says he has nothing to do with the lunatics hunting Bigfoot. But at that moment, Mater comes through the door and greets his friend, trying to arrest Ivy right away. Because of this, she thinks they are really enemies and also arrests the tow truck, which desperately begs to be released while saying it is only a temporary member. Seeing Mater's panic, Ivy decides she will free them, but says she will only do so if they promise to help her get rid of the tinfoil hat lunatics. After the pair of friends agree, Ivy sets them free and begins to devise a way to scare off the invaders in the middle of the forest. The group of demented hunters notice the absence of the temporary members and believe they have been captured by Bigfoot, becoming even more intent on finding the beast. But as they approach the supposed hiding place, a strange light appears in the sky and they begin to approach it, passing through Ivy's trap and being covered by tarps. After hanging the group up, Mcqueen covers himself with a cloth and pretends to be an alien, saying that he has come to Earth to drain their essence. At that moment, Ivy appears in the background and says that they will be next, cutting the ropes and asking which of them will be first. But as soon as they are freed, the group of conspiracists waste no time and start desperately fleeing back to civilization. After they manage to scare off the weirdos, Ivy bids farewell to the pair of friends who decide to continue their journey, driving for days on end. After traveling for so long, they get lost and start wandering in the desert. After some time searching, the two friends find a campsite and decide to approach it for the night. But a group of thugs appear and attack them from behind, leading them straight to the meeting point of a group of nomads who are fighting for control of the desert, Mad Max style. As soon as they arrive at the place, they are taken to the leader of the rebels, who believes that they are refugees from the rival group. But since the two apparently do not know what she is talking about, the girl decides to take them to the Thunder Cone, a vertical arena where they must duel. For the finish for the big fight, the rebels make a few modifications to the bodywork of the two in the arena. The two enter the field to duel for victory, but since they are not enemies, they begin to role-play while planning a way to escape. Suddenly they realized that the group of rebels has moved away to observe a cloud of dust and decide to take advantage of it to escape. But at that moment, one of the villains appears from behind and says that the mist was caused by the rival group, forcing the two of them to go straight to the front and fight for the rebels. But when the two groups are about to catch up, Mcqueen discovers that neither of them knows why they are fighting and tries to convince them to stop failing miserably in his mission, and they take off in the direction of the road, heading straight for the nearest gas station. While everyone is fighting, the duo starts getting drunk with motor oil, but when they are almost tank full, the two groups of warriors finally realize that there is no point in fighting and decide to make up. After stopping a war with the speech, the friends finally arrive at the wedding venue and Lightning realizes that Medea's family is extremely wealthy, owning a huge mansion where the wedding will take place. Mcqueen goes to the buffet where he meets Cruz Ramirez, a former colleague happy to see his friend again after so long. Cruz talks about the news and Mcqueen decides to tell her about the adventures of the trip, but he is interrupted because the ceremony is about to begin and Maid, her sister, finally appears from above. She sees her younger brother and runs toward them, introducing herself to Lightning and Cruz as Matcha. At first she seems friendly enough and seems to miss her brother very much, but it doesn't take long before the girl shows her true personality. Insulting made her, and always wanting to appear superior to him, even angry, the tow truck does everything to keep calm but ends up giving in to his sister's provocations and starts a race backwards, being humiliated in the dispute. After Much's victory, Mcqueen's best friend decides to make it a best of 3 and starts a donut competition on grass, but once again is defeated without having the slightest chance. As he does not accept to lose to his sister, Mater says that it will be a best of 5 and suggests a competition to see who climbs the tree first, but as it ends in a tie and neither of them accepts to lose, they continue in a virtually endless dispute where always one of the two wins and the other asks for a rematch. After 100 challenges, Mater finally accepts defeat in the contest of who can go the longest without blinking and apologizes to his sister, saying that he has always admired her and wanted to be as good as her. After they make up, the bride decides to go back to the altar and proceed with the wedding. But because she has been fighting with Mater for so long, the priest gives up the wedding and leaves, leaving Cruz in charge of the ceremony with the event over. Queen and Cruz are reunited once again and he goes back to telling about the adventures he had with his friend. But at this point Mater goes on stage and begins to make a speech saying how special Lightning is and thanking him for everything they have been through. Together with the speech finished, the bride and groom leave for their honeymoon in the Radiator Springs. Friends decide to return home following the same road they came in but experiencing several new adventures along the way. So what did you think of this movie? Leave it in the comments below, and if you like the video, please like and subscribe. For more movie recaps, see you next time.